I will call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Third,
Commissioner Ernst,
Here.
Commissioner Engel,
Here.
Commissioner Rollins,
Here.
Commissioner Vogelsang. Here. Commissioner Wright.
here. Any changes to the agenda? Nope. Okay, public requests. Anybody has any public requests, you can state your name and you have 3 minutes. And your address, state your address there, please.
Hello, Robert Duquette, 5351 Northwest Third Terrace. And I was just wanting to comment on the things I see on your agenda regarding the North Park updated images and design concepts. I don't see the bike trail on there that you had previously or dog park. And I see an addition of a ninja course and a pump track. Whatever happened to all the input that you had from residents about a year ago with different things on the board? I don't remember ever seeing a pump track or ninja course ever on those items. So again, there's a lot of things that have been proposed that were never discussed in the public. So I would like to see either some more public input before you make dramatic changes. Thank you.
Mr. Duquette, nothing's changed on the plan. This is just an update on the designs of certain elements. We've already seen the bike paths. We've already seen the trails, so that's not part of tonight's discussion, but those are still part of the plan.
Okay, they are
So-
still in the plan.
Yeah, and the ninja course is just a name for another, one of the playgrounds that's also on the plans already, so
Okay, thank you.
there's nothing new, nothing's changed.
Okay, any other, I don't think I have anybody else here for public comment. Okay, closing public request, approval of minutes of previous board meeting held on February 18th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang. Yes. Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to regular business. Item number 1, the North Park update.
Commissioners, tonight we have members from our team at Miller Lake to present on North Park, some of the elements that you have not seen previously in our meetings, so they'll be presenting on those and going through a more detailed update on where we are as far as progress getting towards construction document. And I'll let them go ahead and take the mic.
All right, I'm Mike Kroll with Miller Leg, for the record. And we're just going to give you a presentation tonight, like Brianne said, on some of the specific elements. And so like a ninja course, just to kind of show you what that is. And it's a outdoor workout area and adult type playground more than just for the kids. So that's just a bit about that. But we're going to touch on some of the key elements, where we are in permitting, where we are with permitting with DEP for soil issues and such, and then some other things on 67th, as well as the pedestrian tunnel that have come up recently that we're going to have to address. And then we have an additional service that kind of addresses a lot of those issues and such. So wanted to give you the story first before we kind of got into any details on the additional service. So with the first, I'll have Lumi talk a little bit about some of the specific design elements that we have in the project. And so you can graphically see those.
For the record, I'm Yudmila Fuentes, and I'll just walk you guys through. I could use this, right? Perfect. So some of these are, this is actually the first, our maintenance building. These are some updates to our floor layout. This is really a set of construction plans already, and you could see here on the bottom, a bit of an image, a 3D image showing what that mass volume of the building kind of looks like. And these are some more 3D kind of perspective of these. And I'll show you a little bit more of the finishings in the next couple of slides. So this is kind of our maintenance building, similar to what you guys have been familiar with, the 3 bays, and then a little area on the back for other bays too, for materials. There we go. All right, so this is our restroom buildings. This is one of our templates for this. There's actually 3 within the whole North Park. You could see kind of a elevation on these and then the floor plan. So this is restroom pavilion, concept. And you could see some of our 3D renderings of this. Cool. All right. And this is more of, or give or take, kind of a rendering of what it would potentially kind of look like. All right. And coming to you soon, actually, in the next week or so, we're going to have actual finishes from architects to an actual template for we could kind of get your approval, Brianne, as well on this. Another thing that we are going to get the approval for as well is renderings for the playground. So materials and colors and theming, very specific and customized for it. So that's coming to you in the next week or so. And I included some very specific kind of part of our dog park, which you might have not seen before, is a splash pad kind of area for the dogs. And you could see kind of its centralized area within the large, medium size, and small dog area zones. And these are some examples of the potential that it could actually be. All right, so the trails fitness area. This is on the south portion of our North Park, right? So the south parcel towards right here, towards the highlighted in pink. We actually have area 1, area 2, and area 3. Really, area 1 is a ninja course. And then the next 2 areas are kind of a circuit exercise equipment outside. And I'll show you. So these are our customized colors to fit into North Park as well. And what's really interesting about this is that it's basically a playground for all of us, right? Because it's not only for teenagers, but it's for adults. And what's great is that part of this, they're actually going to give us a training period before you even go into the ninja course. So you can kind of prep for it beforehand. And then area 2 is more of a kind of a circuit of fitness, another option for that. And then it has about, I think, 6 equipments there already as well. And another circuit that we have, it's really accessible and it's multi-generational, making sure that the community that buds North Park has areas to provide fitness. So it's from all different types of levels of fitness that you could actually use. There we go. All right. So just what is a pump track? Some might ask what it kind of looks like. In reality, this is more of a modular area. We are going to be having this near the trailheads of where the mountain bikes are. And it's really just training kind of for the kids to be out there, or somebody who wants to pick up some skills before you even go out to the mountain bikes. But it's really just subtle. And it's incorporated into different areas. So you're able to pick it up too and move it, which it gives us an option for that in the future. All right.
So maybe we can, if you have any questions, maybe that's a good place to, if you have any questions about the elements and such. Yes.
I think it looks awesome. So that you go back to the pictures. I wasn't quite sure where the dog park is into relation to the football. That's it. So, but well, we keep going the big picture. Somehow I want to see where the dog park
So
is.
the dog park is actually in the north corner. You know, that site that's actually owned by the condos, that's very heavily vegetated.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So-
So that's back where the first entrance is.
Yes, right by the 67th entrance, I would say.
Okay.
So that's not part of our south parcel.
Yeah, no, the one thought I have for you on the dog park though is I love it. I love the little bone in there. This is very creative. So A+ for making it look, pretty creative. Because there are going to be a lot of, I like the trees. I think that's, that we're Tree City, USA, so we want the trees. But you may consider I love the screening that you have on the, the fitness area. Somewhere you might want to have a little bit of that just because if it's in there, maybe it's in there or something, because that's people are going to be standing around watching their dogs, and the more the heat, it'd be nice to have. Don't hesitate is what I would say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll highlight some of these areas. They're dual for both sides of, but they're a large canopy
Oh,
of
okay.
shade areas. Yes.
Yeah, good.
There's 3 large canopy areas in our dog park itself.
In the large there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. And the fitness area looks great. I mean, the maintenance building looks great. I think we need to look at what the colors are.
Yes.
Just for the open question, I go back to Brianne and the city is there any consistency from a city parks to us? Just, do we have any, we don't really now, but if we did, it would be nice. I
Yeah.
mean, to think about. I don't know. People should look and feel like it's coming into the city of Boca's park. It's one is like another. So that would be my only thought.
Our architect did look at, had some case studies, with sugar sand as
Oh,
well, and then
yeah.
patch wreath and the wild, I think it's wildflower, our latest park. So we did take a look at those.
Good.
But obviously North Park kind of has its separate branding.
Yeah.
But you'll see that soon, all those finishes.
Beautiful. I think it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, just a couple of things. The restrooms, I take it, are ADA compliant. And they'll be changing stations and things like that
Yes.
within what?
Yes. Let me go a little bit back, but I'll show you because we did add, I wanted to highlight this. So it is ADA compliant on both sides. There's a women's ADA and a men's ADA, and then there's a family restroom. And one feature we put in there was an adult kind of changing station.
That's very good. Also, what are the components in the Ninja Park?
Let's go in here. I could send you a whole video on that. Very nice. Yeah, so it's a Ninja 5, but this course it's a little bit interesting. It's a circuit, and it has different it all kind of goes in together. And I'll send you a video so you could kind of see that. There's actually one in Coral Springs, was one of the first ones like nearby at least. And then what's interesting is that this whole entire area is, you don't feel, you're up for that Ninja 5 course. You could actually start training and using, there's different equipment. So there's the kickboxing station, a speed bag as well. And there's a couple of items where it's more of like your personal weight on it and training for the big Ninja course. And then if that's not up to your abilities, there's also the 2 other circuits.
Okay, it's way over my head, physically and every other way.
I challenge we're all going to go out there and test it
Yes.
out.
Yeah, I'll send somebody. Thank you. And there isn't enough to give me enough of a head start. Anyway, it's a great job. Thank you.
Wonderful renderings. It's really exciting. I do have a question. What's the square footage on the maintenance building?
What is back? Let me see if I could see us right there. Okay. Might have to get back to you exactly the number of square feet. I do have it somewhere.
Okay.
But it holds 3 bays. It also has 2 office spaces, a reception area, a break room, and then restroom, ADA compliant restrooms and showers as well. So, and then the mechanical rooms and IT. So it's pretty spacious, but again, making sure that the bays are there to support the park as well as the break rooms.
So there'll be bays for the sand and
Yep.
all the other things.
So
Okay.
there's 3 bays inside, and then there's 2 covered storage areas on the outside of it that it's covered by the building, the roof.
And then vehicles will be inside.
Yes.
Okay. I love the bone shape on the dog park, by the way. Yes. The fitness station maintenance. I mean, all this equipment looks wonderful. How is it going to be protected from vandalism, and how is it going to be maintained so that Brianne isn't constantly getting calls that, hey, this thing is broken down, or Melissa?
Yeah. So I think it starts with picking the right vendor, right? The right selection of it. And we are using Greenfield, which they have 20+ years doing this, right? So they were the first ones that came out really with the fitness outdoor fitness equipment. They do have guarantee on their equipment, and it's I could provide those kind of specs and information for you as well. So we seen it. I mean, I seen it probably, you go out any park here, you might see it out there already. It's Greenfields, and you'll see they pretty much, they're one of the ones that hold up the best.
And then with the Ninja course, what is the recommended minimum age for that course?
I know it's teenage years, so I believe it starts either, yeah, I think it starts at 12. Yeah, you're right, Mike. It might be 12,
years
not
old?
13. Yeah.
So are there going to be warnings not to let the little kids on? Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have
And
to have
all
a
that,
height?
yeah, all that is provided. All that is part of the package. It comes with signage. It even comes with QR codes and instructions on how to use it. So all that is kind of provided in that concept.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. This is exciting.
Can you send me the video of the, yeah, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
like the video. I like to see the video.
All of us.
Yeah. Well,
One observation on the maintenance facility, it looks like the caboose of a train. So I like it. I'm saying I like it. So if you can, if you can make it look fun in the park, that might be nice too. So
Okay.
when you, which it looks good. Look, I like it. I like it. I'll give good light. So, but if you can make something fun in the park, yeah, all good.
Okay, so now we'll move to the fun stuff, right? The next stuff, next things we're going to talk about are soil, such on site. So obviously being a former golf course, we have soil issues we have to.
Give me
Oh,
one
I'm
second.
sorry.
Bob, did you have any comments or questions? You're muted.
I continue to be muted, so, no, the only comment I had is on the Ninja facility there, the equipment there. I'm familiar with that concept, but it may be a little too complicated. I'm just concerned about the durability of it when it's being left unsupervised.
Well, it's similar, I think, to the one that's at Spanish River. I mean, it's more in terms of like the CrossFit components of it, but I think in terms of the what it's made out of, I think it's similar to that, and people are on those things all the time at Spanish River. So we'll get the video and we can take a look at more of what it is and the components that are a part of it. And then we can go from there.
I'm going with you, Aaron, but I still would like to see the components itself. And I know what you're talking about there. It's Spanish River. But there's at least one item over there that I still hadn't figured out how to use it, where you had those two slanted boards where you're walking back and forth. But let's go with what we've got here, and then but I would like to see more of the actual equipment in there.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, next thing is soil mitigation. So again, since it is a golf course, we have soil mitigation that we have to deal with. So where we have, I think we go back one, right? Yeah, here we are. Okay. So what we had to do is we had to get approval from FDEP because of the soil and groundwater issues here. We did get approval for the soil delineation for all the sampling that we have done so far for the soils as well as groundwater. So as of right now, no more soils testing is required until we start getting into construction, okay? We also got approval of the soil management plan and how we're going to manage that soil once we get into construction. So Alex from ECS is here. If you have any specific questions, but they had to generate an actual plan on how we're going to address that soil as we move it around on the project site. The other thing is we were able to, I shouldn't say us, I'm going to say Alex because he's the expert in this. We were able to get an alternative cleanup target level. So that's the level of contaminants, if you want to say it that way, in the soil for the park. We were able to achieve and have DEP accept a level of 5.5 versus what they typically require as 3.8, right?
Yeah, so this, just to clarify, familiar with golf courses, but.
Sir, just tell the record who you are. if you
I'm
can.
sure.
Thank
Sorry,
you, sir.
Alex Chatham with ECS.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. I just wanted to let you know that, so the ASCTL is for a specific compound out here, which is typical on golf courses where they historically applied throughout, a lot of the golf courses in the area and throughout the state in the United States. And what you have left is this residual arsenic compound. So this is the level that we were able to get the buy-in from the state. And this is the typical level, 5.5, that you can achieve on parks. So it's meeting the intent of future exposure scenarios with occupants, because that's what we're thinking. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're protective of the future visitors to the park. So that's our goal and mission, and that's acceptable by the DEP.
Okay. All right.
Question for you on that.
Certainly.
Sure.
Based on all the testing, and there's been a lot of testing, is there any reason to think that this thing has got more than 5.5 anywhere out there?
Well, it does, and that's what we're going to be cleaning up to. as
So
part of
when you
our-
say cleaning up, what does that mean? Dump trucks coming in and taking it away, or
No,
what does
it's
that mean?
Relocation and capping of that's right
Okay,
there.
go
We're
ahead.
getting right into it.
So you led right into it. So the soil management plan has been accepted. So this is kind of what it outlines, okay? Is that any soil not meeting that 5.5 threshold will be capped with either an impervious surface, so a surface like a building, a sidewalk, a parking lot, something that doesn't allow water to get through it, or it will be covered with 2 feet of material that's clean. We'll just call it clean material that's on site. So our goal is to minimize costs and such, is to manage all this soil on site. We are not desiring to truck this off site because that's very expensive to do. So prior to the movement, soil will be stockpiled. It's going to be tested. ECS has to test it, see what it is, and then we'll be able to identify and direct the contractor on where that can actually be moved on the site. Okay. So then then once we do the placement and the grading, ECS will have to confirm that that 2-foot cap is on there and the appropriate levels of that soil are on that cap. So we, and provide the safety level that we need. And then ultimately we have to go back to DEP and demonstrate that all these levels on the top that are exposed to the public meet that threshold. So we'll have another round of testing to do, just to make sure that everything is out there, meets what DEP has required us to do. So again, sampling right now is kind of done, but once we get into construction, because of that material and really there's hot spots. There's spots that are not good and there's spots that are just fine, have no problems. So what we have to do is make sure that we move those areas that are either hot spots under the impervious surfaces or move them to a place that we can cover it up and the public does not come in contact with them. Okay. So any questions about that? That one's probably. got
So
some
you
good
can
questions.
move it all over to Mr. Butters' building and he can put a big building on top of that, right?
But there will, I mean, that is a strategy, parking lots and buildings.
Parking lots and buildings,
Yeah,
right?
it doesn't
It's all
matter.
very-
So that's part of the equation to do the earthwork all throughout the park. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions on the soil mitigation?
Bob, do you have any questions? Still muted.
For some reason, the mute is automatic, but I have no questions. I think they've done a good job with the soil preparation and testing.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next thing that we'll get to is where we are permitting wise. Can you advance that maybe? I don't know if this is working. Okay, so site permits, we have to go through permitting, obviously. And Public Works review to the city, that was submitted in January. We got their comments back from them on February 2nd, and we'll be resubmitting, we anticipate next week in response to their comments and such, okay? So that's kind of where we are with the city. Last time we were here, we presented a couple of concepts, 3 concepts for 67th. That was the concept that you selected. We presented it to the city in November after our meeting. They had some additional requests. They wanted to make sure that at this end, they could move a fire truck if the park was closed and such. So we did some analyses, and the city approved that concept with those minor revisions and such in December. Okay, so that was something that they had brought up, and we just had to go through that to make sure that they approved that. Our pedestrian tunnel. This was something interesting. Through Brianne's coordination with the city, the city engineer requested a meeting on February 3rd to discuss the tunnel. Then we actually had that meeting on February 20th. And at that meeting, the city requested that they're working forward to get that road put through. And they said, what we would really like you to do is change the design so that your design shows it at an at-grade crossing right now across Jeffrey Street, but keep the tunnel in there as an ad alternate, because depending upon their schedule and our schedule, they may have us do it or they may not have us do it. So what we have to do now is go back and change our plans to reflect taking the tunnel out and make the tunnel package actually a separate package that will be included in the initial bid that we're going to be putting out. So that's another request that came through the city just recently. So we're addressing that, and that's a part of the additional service that you'll review. So any questions on 62nd or the tunnel? And I think here's kind of where we are right now. This is our tunnel design. We actually have it, it's all designed. It's structural design is all completed and such. They're actually having their engineers who are doing the conceptual design work for Jeffrey Street extension. They're reviewing what we have done in the tunnel with what they're proposing on the roadway to make sure the alignments all work and such. So that's where they're at right now. But they've asked us to make this actually a separate package to include in the bid package for North Park. Okay.
I think Bob might have a question.
Okay.
Mike, yes, I do have a question. What's the reason for their on again, off again with the tunnel? And then, because once we get once the road goes through, we don't want to have to tunnel under the asphalt.
Correct. What their plan is this allows them to potentially have the tunnel as part of their construction project. So if the scheduling of North Park and the scheduling of Jeffrey Extension are coinciding, then they may have us just do it and then they can build over the top. But if it's close enough, they would actually build the tunnel as part of their roadway project itself. So again, they just wanted to have that option. If they needed the district to build that tunnel, we could do that, or we could have an alternate to do that. But if they were going to integrate it into their roadway plans, they could utilize our design and integrate into their plans. So that was their approach, because they were unsure on how close we're going to be tied together construction wise. So we don't want to cross-pollinate. We don't want to have contractors for them on site, Mr. Butters' group on site, and then North Park potentially with another contractor on site all at the same time. So we want to make sure that runs.
So we may end up paying for it, or they may end up paying for it. We would still pay
We-
for it, and then they would do it.
Yeah, we would either pay for, I want to speak for you, but I think the district would either pay for it or construct it.
Got it.
So at the end of the day, you would,
If it ends up being part of the city's package, they would ask us for like a funding letter saying that we would fund the tunnel portion. That's how I talked to the cities.
Correct.
The city, you said, is asking for a plan for a street level crossing.
yes, sir.
And this would be still a 4-lane road, 2 lanes in each direction?
This, the at-grade crossing would only be there when the road was not there. When the road comes in, there will be a tunnel. Okay. So because they don't know when that road is going to be put in, they said, go ahead and just put it at grade. If that road's not going to be built for 5 years, maybe the city will build the tunnel. But if it's going to be really close, maybe we'll have you guys build a tunnel and then we can build the road quickly over the top of it.
Right, but the at grade is strictly absent the road, is what you're saying?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, all right, great. All right, and I think that was that. And that was the questions that we had. Anything else? Oh, and we have an additional service. You have an additional service there. And that additional service is to, number one, to do the survey, subsurface utility and design for 67th Street, to modify the plans for the tunnel modification. And also, what else? Anything else? Oh, and then the bidding. So our current services are only through design. So now we're ready to bid. So now what we're going to be doing is, based upon the funding you have, we have brought a cost estimator on board so we can actually tie down the costs really tight and figure out what we can do in phase one, the most immediate phase for North Park, to get that out on the street as quickly as possible. So we'll finalize the construction documents, get the permits, and then we'll package that, and then we'll cost it and figure out what can be done with the funds that you have in place right now as the initial phase.
Okay, are we gonna be able to see more details of the mountain bike trails?
You know, I will say this, probably not. And the reason I say that is the mountain bike trails have the most flexibility, because until we clear that area, the alignment of the mountain bike trails are going to weave through whatever is out there. So how we're going to approach that is, we're going to clear that area except for the desirable canopy trees we want to keep. We're going to reforest or revegetate that area. And then, based upon what trees we see that we're going to keep and the topographic changes, then we'll kind of lay out a preliminary path. So it's really,
So
it's
that might
tough
be
to
done
do.
last.
Yeah, it's actually going to be something that we'll do almost on site with the
Right.
contractor as we do that work.
Okay.
What you will see is the trailheads. So there are 2 trailheads
Mhm.
that we are providing.
Okay. And the pump tracks that you have, that's gonna be one at each trailhead?
No, that would just be,
The main one at
there would just
67?
be one towards the bit right below, yeah, right there. I guess showing it right,
So this is
right by the Boca Paddle.
Right by.
So
Boca
here's
Paddle.
north is this way.
Yeah,
Jeffrey Street is here.
okay.
This is the pickleball and paddle club
Yep.
facility. It's going to be right here.
And so the trailhead is just
Yeah,
east of
Yep.
that?
the
Yep.
trailheads like along there.
Exactly, just
Okay.
east of that. Yes.
Gotcha.
And at those trailheads, we have a little shelter, a picnic table, a bike stand,
And the bike
And-
cleaning.
bike cleaning and
The
bike
air and
service.
stuff like
Yes,
that?
yes,
Anybody else?
yes, ma'am.
What kind of a timeline are we looking at?
Well, our goal is to have this starting to bid probably April, 1st of April. You know, that's going to get out on the street. We are talking about, maybe we're going to do maybe a 2-step bidding process, because we really want somebody who knows how to handle this soil. We don't want a contractor, because again, we're hard bidding this and not having a CM on board. So we really have to be tight on making sure we got the right people bidding this. And, you know, we want to have people who have experience dealing with these soils issues, because we've run into some of these hard bids on similar type projects, old golf course that have been turned into parks, that you get just parks people come in and want to construct it, and then they kind of get caught up in the soil issues. So we want to make sure that they're truly qualified.
Should we have a construction manager for this?
It's an option. It's an option. Again, it's up to you all. I mean, that's a process that could make sense because of the complexity and the timing of funding as you get different funding, you know, throughout the year, and being able to really strategize with the CM on you know, how to carry out the project and such. So it's an option. I mean, it definitely is an option to do.
Is that somebody that you would find for us, or
We
how
would go
how do
out
you go?
through, it would be an RFQ process.
Okay.
Yes. But that's an option. That is definitely an option. It would be, I mean,
So,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, no, that's fine. Going back to, are we talking about the change order as well here? So,
The additional services, yes.
yeah, the additional services. So, look, Mike, when you came in here, you sold me at least on your firm's been involved with Gumbo Limbo. You've done a lot of good things, and to me, it was unanimous. There's no question. And so, out of all that, you got a master services agreement, the different design, the hills, all these different things. And what I add up on that is 1.575 million. That's what we spent 1.22, 222,000 on it so far. We're almost done. Okay. I expect you're gonna come back with your bill for 1.575 and we'll be done. And so if you're not,
Right.
I think you need to talk about it now
Sure.
because I see 146,750. And, I don't necessarily know what all these things are, but
Sure.
okay. What I don't agree with is an hourly fee if needed on a bunch of things.
Sure.
To me,
Yeah.
you're coming in at, a lot of money and here we are today, March, what is it, 3rd, 4th?
Right.
I want to park
Right.
and
We,
this is like, it is, we are not putting a man on the moon. We're not putting someone on Mars. We're dealing with a lot of soil. I appreciate that. But I want to park and I think the residents want to park.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to wait around any longer. And I don't want to find out that it's going to take, 10 more years to do the park and it's going to cost another $1 million.
Sure.
So can you assure me that, your change order for 146,000, that's it to the best we know, and you're not gonna come back here next month with another change order?
Well, so maybe I'll explain. Sure. No, understandable. So where we are in our scope of services is we did the master plan and then obviously the construction documents. So this takes us through construction documents for what you see here.
Right.
Okay. Now, we've got to bid it, and depending upon how we bid it, if it's 5 different bid packages, 1 CM package, or however it is, that depends. So we have to charge you to put that bid package together and package the plans and respond to comments and things like that.
That's not in here?
That's for this first phase. However, we want to do it based upon what we have for this first phase. And what we think is that we can probably get all of this done, all or majority of everything south of Jeffrey done for what you have right now in funding. Okay. So depending upon the strategy, going forward for this area, that could be 1 package, 2 packages, or 5. It all depends on the funding of how that's going to be. So that's the next step. Go ahead.
I guess I don't understand. I thought you're gonna go out to bidding on all of it right now and, let these people come back and tell us and we'll look at it.
Right. No,
How does
no.
it work?
Yeah,
So
sure, sure. Again, right
Can I
now,
interject just real quick?
yeah.
I'm sorry, the plan was to bid this in phases because we don't have the money to build all of it at one time. So they're putting together a package to bid the first phase, and then because we don't want to bid for more than we can afford to build at one time.
I guess I struggle with that because I thought we had over 70 million in the bank
We
and
have all of that money is allocated for things. Like we don't have 70 million set aside for just this park. And so the plan was always to build this in phases over the course of time. Like right now we have 10 million just allocated to this park.
so 10 million will build the south end of the park. But it's just dirt. Mr. Butters has got the big chunk of it. He's got a huge parking lot, and a huge building. He's got
I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, go
Yeah.
ahead.
tell me, I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
where
yeah,
10 million
sure.
is spent on the south end of the park there because I don't see anything.
Sure. No, again, the playground, all those, the ninja course, all those outdoor exercise areas, all these trails are going to be done on this parking lot area. Water and sewer, coming into this with the restrooms, with these restroom facilities and pavilions. So again, you're going to, and this whole eastern edge will be, mountain bike trails that'll be reforested. The buffer along the residential community and the fencing along there. So again, and new access point off of 2nd Avenue there. So I know it looks, it's a park, but that's a significant park at the end of the day. So there'll be, you know, there's lighting in this entire park. There's a lot of components in that park.
Well, I mean, I think it's a conversation for the group here because I didn't come into this thinking that we're getting the South Park. I thought we're getting all of North Park east of Second Avenue. And I'm uncomfortable with saying, oh yeah, let's just go on the train here and add another one on it. I'd like to know the whole picture of, if you're gonna do 5 bids on the other end, and then I get it, you're saying it's different allocating. Well, let's change our budget now because I want to build a park. And
We have other projects already in the move, like we have 16
I know,
between the playground and the pickleball facility, there's 16 million there. We have another 35 million going to the city for O&M and capital improvement projects. So all these funds are allocated. And the plan was, as we bid phase one, these things take time. So we roll into a new fiscal year and we continue to budget until we've built out the park. But the plan was never to be able to build this park in 6 months. It was always going to take like 2 to 3 years to build the park completely.
but we can
And-
reallocate, Brianne, to go a little faster on this thing so that we don't pay down the debt or we reallocate what we were going to pay down early on the debt on the west side. So we could allocate that towards this.
We can do that. We can cancel projects like the cover at the field house or other projects. We can reallocate all those funds.
I
But,
think
but
it's
I'm just
worthy of
saying the
looking
money
at,
is
yeah.
not there. All those funds are allocated. When you say this big lump sum, like it's just sitting in a bank, it's all allocated for these projects, and all these projects are underway right now.
Right. I think, to me, it's worthwhile to look at it to see the time frame of when it is, because I don't see building a park over the next 5 years. I see building a park now. And
Right, but over the
Yeah.
course of time, there's a lot of clearing to go on for the trails. Things
Understand.
like that take so much time. You continue, another fiscal years go by quicker, and you continue to budget your project as it's moving forward. And a lot of our parks, like Sugar Sand Park was built in phases, Patrick Park was built in phases. All of our major parks were always built in phases because it's so expensive to build upfront.
so when would this park be done? That's just this east side.
Well, you're asking me to put predict a number, and I don't know that, but the
And I-
plan was in the next 3 years to have all the money put aside to build the east side out.
I would prefer, rather than approving this today, or we can if you want, it's up to the group. But my recommendation is give us the whole picture of what we're dealing with and know what our time frame is. And if we have to go over 3 years, fine. But I want to know how much we're spending with Miller Lake, because he's clearly saying, I'm going to charge you a change order here for 146,000, and we're going to do another change order for everything down the road. And it's all going to add up to a lot of money. And I'd rather have that now, and there is a cost of mobilizing these things. So maybe some contractors can do more all at once as opposed to spreading it out. And if that means reallocating things, I didn't go into that knowing it was going to take so long for just the east side. I thought we were rolling out the east side completely.
Well, I think I'm not explaining this well enough to you because it's kind of continuous. As we're building phase one out, we bid phase one, and as we're building it, the next fiscal year rolls around, right? So we're bidding phase two. And then the next fiscal year rolls around, and we're bidding phase three. So it's all happening at the same time. It's never like we stop construction, everybody clears out of the park, and then we wait another 6 months before we start building again. It's all continuous. It's just a matter of bidding what we have money for allocated at that time.
I mean, like the soil has to be done first, right? So that would be part of phase one. I don't know, I was having the thing with Brianne, but you're gonna do the soil on the entire north and south side, or you're just focusing on the south side first?
Again, our thought, we haven't done the specific cost estimate for the whole thing, and that's what's part of this additional service, is to really take this stack of drawings here, and this is about half of them.
Right.
You know, that we have. So it's not a small effort, but actually cost that out right now.
Right.
Okay, and say, if you have $10 million, our estimate, based upon our construction cost estimators, we can build this, and I'm saying, I think we can build this. But maybe they're gonna say, we can build this, and we can build this. I don't know what it is, and we're gonna come to you and say, okay, here's what we think should be phase one, okay? And it's not gonna go out on the street without you guys knowing what's gonna go out on the street. So again, we feel that whatever it is, this and maybe this and this is going to be phase one. What's the priorities for the district, right? And then that's going to be the first package we put out. That's what's going to drive that first package. And knowing that, you know, between the pickleball and paddle club, we need to have access to that for them. So again, this is a critical, we know that this is going to be for phase one. We have to have this, you know, to this portion to get utilities, to get access, et cetera, to that facility. So that's why we kind of said, we're going to start here. And if we start here, it makes sense to do this. Because once we have this constructed and this constructed, access to this southern end of the park is going to be very constrained. It's going to be difficult. We may have to run down the east side of the canal adjacent to the railroad to get access down here. So that becomes really inefficient and not cost effective from a construction standpoint. So again, those are the things that we're thinking about now is what makes sense to do. So if we can button this up, and I keep saying, I keep waving at this, but I'm not sure we can do it, but we're thinking that if we could button this up, that would be great. We have, you know, probably a 30-acre park all of a sudden, right? Phase one is a 30-acre. That's not an insignificant park. It's not 80 acres. you know,
I
the whole
get
thing.
it. I agree with what you're saying. The focus on the phase one makes a lot of sense. But what's new to me is you're 10 million on 30 acres and you got 40 acres to go. And that's going to be taking over time. I'm just saying, you did all these construction documents. Let's get the whole thing mapped out and costed out now. So we know what it is, even if that takes a little bit longer.
Right.
And give us the option on reallocating our budget to really think this through a little bit more.
Sure.
And I want to know a firm number. I just don't want to be on an idea of, okay, it's 146,000. You're telling me you're going to come back for another 146,000 and probably another
Right.
and another.
Right.
I get it. We want to pay you for your work.
Sure.
But I want to know what
is that?
I want to know the whole thing rather than come in with like a big number at the end that, okay, we built this giant park for 100 million,
Right.
you know, so.
Sure. No, understood.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do the construction documents, you get the estimator in there, and
Right.
that's where you figure out what
Correct.
phases you're doing and what makes more sense, or maybe there's a couple of different options that we can look at.
Correct.
See what makes sense for us financially and what makes sense, I guess, physically for the park,
Right.
how to do it. But yeah, right? I mean, that's what you're
Yes.
gonna do. So
So
that's
then-
where we're gonna get the whole picture.
And that
terms
is
of
within
scheduling.
that cost for the cost estimating in here, they're going to price out the whole project based upon our construction documents. Then we're going to have probably a couple iterations after we review with you. What is the funding that we have at this time? By the time we go out to bid, how much funding will we have? And then we'll say, okay, if this is phase one, based upon our thoughts, this is what phase one should be. We're going to bring it to you, bring it to Brianne and say, do you agree with that? Or is something else a priority to you?
And I know you don't like change orders, but change orders are something that happens in construction projects all the time. I mean, they come in and they give their best estimate on what they think they need to do and how much it's gonna cost. But a lot of times there's additional services that have to happen in terms of like FTEP and things like that.
Yeah.
So change orders are just something that happens with construction projects. And I know you don't like it because you see that hard number, but when we get the additional services, we get explained to us what the issue was and what work needed to be done and why it cost that much. So
But that's not the case here. I respectfully disagree with you, Aaron. They are saying it's going to take 3 to 5 years, and there's a whole price tag that we could price out, take an effort now and figure it all out.
well, that's the
And change
construction
order-
part of it, though.
But isn't that what
This
we're
is
trying to do?
design.
Yeah, but the next step is construction. So you got to do your cost estimating. You got to go through your process. It
Right.
shouldn't be difficult to finish this thing out, get the whole picture of the time frame, and let us decide, you know, how much in the time frame we want to do it. You got phase one and then the other 5 phases. And
Right, but they're gonna estimate the phases, right? The contractors is the one who's gonna come in and give us the price when they bid the work on how much they think it's gonna cost.
Mhm.
That contractor during the work, I'm sure is gonna come back with change orders during the work process as well. Cause that always happens,
Yeah.
right?
Well, we would minimize those. We're trying to minimize those based
As
upon
much as
the,
possible.
yeah. But again, you know, I think one thing, Greg, is you know, the DEP sampling. That's going to be a big number. I don't know what that number is, but we'll work with ECS and get an estimate of what that is, because again, they have to sample, it's required, it's a condition of the approval. So we're gonna have to do that. And then our construction administration services to oversee the contractor and such. And again, we'll work with Brianne to see what she needs us to do on the district's behalf versus what we have to do, you know, to make sure permits are compliant with the requirements. And then, you know, what the district staff is going to be able to do. So again, our goal is not to maximize our fee generation on this project, is to get it done. But again, realizing that, you know, the services we have.
I appreciate that. My number one thing is the integrity of the bidding process. So we control the bidding process. We understand we need your help.
Yes.
But you better darn well not, you know, pigeonhole it to one entity or
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
It's gotta be, the bidding process is good, but I really do want to know what the best estimate of all the costs are before we dig too deep in this. And then I think it's gotta be kind of defined. That's all. That we all know what we're getting into.
Sure.
And we have a better estimate, the full cost estimate. I get it, there are change orders as you need
Sure.
them, but we should have a better anticipation of what that is.
Right. Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Is there a contingency with the permitting and with the city for doing that entrance on the north end? I mean, are we obligated to do that in the first phase?
No, we're not obligated to do that as part of the first phase.
Okay.
We are not.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, we have $10 million allocated to the first phase.
Okay.
If through your cost estimates, that could possibly be 8 million or 12 million.
Yes.
We right now don't know. And with the economic environment that we're in, it could easily go either way.
Yes.
So I would like to, for myself, I'd like to see this done. I'd like to get a rough idea going forward before we bid out the balance of the park, where we stand from your point of view.
Sure.
So that we have a rough idea. This is going to take 3 years, maybe, hopefully less than that.
Mhm.
But a lot of things can happen in 3 years. And based on what's happened over the last several years, the world is a completely different place. So I understand where Craig is coming from, but I don't know if we can get an accurate number looking at it now. I mean, all things being equal, I'm with you.
Mhm.
But I would rather do this now, see where we come out, and then as we're ready to bid out the rest of it, bid out the rest of it and see where we come out there. This could be $8 million by the time all is said and done. The next couple of phases could be $8 million each.
Correct. And I think that's one way we could approach it. We could approach it as, here's our phase one drawings. Okay. Here's our phase one bid. And add alternate is that tunnel. Okay. That's a big number. You know, if they say, if the city says, well, we want you to build it now. Okay. Well, that has to take away from whatever else we've programmed into this in the quote phase one. So that's the balancing act. And I agree with you. And like I said, the cost estimate fee that's in there is to do the entire park. Okay. To estimate as we are right now with the construction documents we have, to estimate the whole park. So in that time frame, and you know, with this additional service, we'll know a cost estimate to do the entire park, an estimate on that. So we'll have something in our mind right now of how much that's going to be. If it's going to be 25 million, 30 million, whatever that number is going to be, right? So that again leads us to determine what phase one is, and then maybe a strategy on what are the subsequent phases that we have to do.
Mike, are you saying task 21, the cost estimate is going to give us the cost for the entire east side, or is that just
The entire east side, yes.
so
Not just phase one, not just phase one. That's, again, that's why we put that in there, is because we don't know what phase one is. We can't tell you what it is until we do that cost estimate. We're going to say, okay, here's the $10 million project. Okay, including the tunnel and excluding the tunnel. Here's the option.
So, and then are you serious about task 23 that says $5,000? Is that per hour for additional bidding assistance?
No.
What the hell is that?
No, that's just hourly. And I don't think we've ever used like an hourly service. We just put that in there in case you need us to do something else to help you with bidding. We don't do that unless we're authorized to do it. So it's at our hourly rates up to $5,000.
Okay,
Yeah, it's not 5,000 an hour, man.
okay. Okay. So this, you're asking for 146,000 change order plus a potential additional 8,500 if needed.
Yes.
Okay, that's gonna get you through a full set of the south side, so we don't get in Mr. Butter's way of what he's trying to build out there. So you need this. We get that.
Yep.
And then you're also, is there a way you can give us the full estimate of the north side, the remaining 40
That is-
acres?
that-
So you come back here next month and give us a full estimate of the 40 acres so we can think about our budget and think about the time frame.
That's
We
what-
really need that time frame because I think it's gone on long enough.
Yeah, no, that's what task,
You're doing the whole.
that's what task 21 is. Task 21 is to do the cost estimate for the entire park.
Good.
Okay. And again, from that'll allow us to figure out with our 10 million, what can we do? And what,
Okay.
where do we have to start and how do we do that?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion on the 146,000?
For the record, legally you do, Madam Chair.
Oh, let me just see if Bob has any questions.
I'll, all I gotta say is holy moly. I never anticipated the cost of this to be what it was. And with the other recreational things that we absolutely need, it's gonna be a challenge to accommodate our recreational master plan that, we've talked about with the city. So we've got a lot to do, and I think having an idea as the full scope of what we're looking at on the east side, I think is important, because I don't see us doing anything with removing money from the budget for the payoff of our loan with the city. But I do think that, we're going to really need some cooperation for them to get our recreational master plan done. Then on top of that, you've got all the other issues associated with downtown redevelopment and all the other building and the residential units of going into our facility in Broken Sound and across the street. So, yeah, I think we got a lot on our plate, and I think the first step is to find out what these actual costs are going to be, and then we'll know what priorities we have, and we'll have to establish those.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
We do need, okay, so I move to appropriate the amount of $146,250, not 700, I'm sorry, $750.
Which for the record, Commissioner, is the proposal as submitted.
As submitted,
Thank you.
not to exceed.
Need a second.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes,
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Mike. Thanks, Lumi. Thank you. Moving on to number 2, annual audit report.
This one's a little bit easier. On page 23 of your agenda packets is just a memo outlining that we did complete our annual audit as required by statute. There were no findings in the audit, and you all received your hard copies tonight. So you can review those, and I'm going to be available throughout the week if you have any questions, but overall, smooth audit process. I want to thank Merv and Joanne specifically for all their help getting all the documentation. And there was no no concerns along the way.
Okay. That's it.
That's
Any
it.
comments or questions on that?
Good.
No? Okay. Moving on to approval of payroll and invoice.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of payroll and invoices in the amount of $549,412.80.
Second,
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yeah.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, reports and discussion items. Executive Director. Hahn.
Just a few items. Next Friday is the State of the City Address taking place down at Meisner. The district will be receiving, as part of their sponsorship of the centennial, they'll get the keys to the city at that event. So Commissioner Rollins and Commissioner Ernst will be there. Last week, we met with the city engineer, All County Paving, to talk about the traffic guarding at North Park. So we're going to make some progress on getting that permit issued this week. So we'll get moving forward on that. We did see a preliminary design, so I hope to have that at the next meeting for you all to see for the traffic garden as well. And then, as you all have heard, the city is working on the downtown campus master plan with Tara Frisbee. A lot of the recreational elements are moving out of the downtown area. The city would like to work with us on a plan to put a softball complex over at Sugar Sand Park and Track Day. So tonight, I'm just looking for direction from the board to work with our council on drafting an agreement with the city that would allow them to build that softball complex at Sugar Sand Park. We don't need a motion, just need consensus that everybody's on board with working on that agreement.
Yep.
I see your head shaking, Commissioner Rollins. Head shaking? Okay.
Yes.
I'm good. That's all I needed.
Okay. Council?
We just got that assignment. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. The legislature convened today, as you probably know. There are about 3,000 bills filed. That's a fairly large record number, just for the record, and there are certain bills that do apply to districts. We're sifting through what may apply to you as a special district, and we will report back to the next meeting as to what appears to be in the hopper at the moment. As we know, there's not a lot you can do except to track what's happening and monitor the activities in Tallahassee, because you can't know till you know the answer, and that's not until the very last day of the session. So we will keep you fully posted. No litigation to report. As you know, the check for the payment of the settlement was made at the last meeting, by the last meeting, and that matter has now been closed. And we're looking still at the permanent easement request that you're aware of at Ocean Strand, some discussion back and forth, which we'll have some review of that at some point, either privately with you, which we will have, and then publicly thereafter, and consulting with our executive director on some of the parameters of what was recently proposed to the board. Other than that, happy to respond to questions or comments or any other matter. If not, thank you for listening and thank you for the opportunity to speak. Appreciate it.
Sam, you're not going to come back with the change order after this.
Have
are you?
none after that. Okay, thank you. No, it's not in my contract. You negotiated the contract. Not in there.
Thanks,
Might
Sam.
get smacked.
Thank you. Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Okay, Commissioners, Susie, you have anything?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, we had the ribbon cutting for the DeHornley Maintenance Center, and that was very impressive. The building, I think, was worth what we put into it, and I think it's going to help all of our parks that will service. After that, I went over and looked at this massive roof that we've got going over the pickleball courts. Good job, you guys. This is going to make Naples just pea green with envy with their pickleball facility. We're going to have quite a world-class pickleball facility, even though I don't play. And I saw dirt moving for the playground. So thank you, staff, for everything that you're doing to get all these things going.
Okay. Steve?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Craig?
I'm good too.
All right, Bob?
Well, I would like to first start by saying thanks to Craig for the physical FISCAL discussion regarding the east side of North Park. That I think that was beneficial to the discussion this evening. Yeah, I agree with Sue. The maintenance facility is going to be a time-saving thing for the city and resulting in some cost savings to us too because of the location. And Brian, I would ask if they could move the trucks that they have over there inside DeHornley Park back over to the maintenance facility where I think they probably are more appropriately placed. But outside, I apologize for my laptop just, has been working fine up until I get to Tallahassee, and I asked the front desk, I said, is the Wi-Fi working? So I think I must have jinxed myself because now my laptop's not working and the Wi-Fi is. But have a great week. We had a wonderful wrap up of the Soccer Association over at Harnley. And it's gratifying to see all the kids that are smiling and receiving whatever, getting the trophy is not the end all be all, but what was the atmosphere there was one of that you would like to see in your parks. And we certainly have done a good job with that over there, making that available. So everybody have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. And I have nothing, so.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang,
Yes.
and Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes.
We are adjourned.